Good afternoon. Once again, it is 12:06. My name is Pablo Avila. I am from the Center for Teaching and Learning, and welcome to this Zoom training session. As you can see on my screen, this session is being recorded, will be recorded, and will be shared with everyone after the session a little later today. I have a Zoom document with lots of resources that we want to share with you. The access link is on the screen, and I will show you and walk you through that. I also posted a message on the chat. If you're able to identify, there should be a number 2 with the notifications on the top of your screen. If you're able to see that, please go ahead and enter your name and the department where you come from so that we can begin. My colleague Oscar Cortez from the center as well will be monitoring the chat. So we encourage all participants to post their questions on the chat so that we can answer them as we move along. During the sessions, the attendees will be muted for the purposes of the session, the presentation. And at the very end, there will be some time for Q&A as well. Once again, use the chat feature to post questions or comments. And my colleague Oscar will be monitoring that and will be raising those questions as we move along. This session will be covering the following. This session will include an overview of the breakout room in Zoom, this feature that has been helpful not only for faculty, but also staff members who want to conduct meetings. I will be going over all of the settings and how to enable this feature so that you can use it. And I will also go over the recording options in Zoom. And this came out of feedback that we received from faculty in the previous Zoom sessions that we have run in terms of faculty recording mini lectures or simply recording full sessions and sharing them with students. So I will be going over many of the options that we have available. This did not formally make it to the agenda, but I will cover this. And this is what I mentioned, the live captioning is now enabled on all Cuny accounts. We learned about this just yesterday. And it is not on the agenda formally, but I will make sure that I go over that with you. And this will be particularly helpful if you are teaching a class or working with colleagues who may need this particular feature. We will be together for 1 hour and a little longer if we need to. Once again, if you need to log off and get to other activities, this is being recorded and will be shared with you. This demo session covers specific Zoom features, so we're not going to go over all of the basics. If we have time, we may cover some general questions, but we're going to be covering those 3 things, actually: breakout room, recording options, and the live transcription. All of you are encouraged to follow along if you want, or you can simply pay attention as I go through the presentation, and you can post your questions in the chat if there's a particular area that you would like to go over. In putting together these sessions, we realized that there's lots of resources that we wanted to share. So we have put together a one document with everything, okay? And that everything includes the slides that you're looking at right now. I will go over that in just a moment, but the URL is right there. The document is completely public. You can access it at any time, and you can even share that with other colleagues if you want. The document is updated on a regular basis as colleagues share and recommend different resources, okay? And obviously the recording will be available for later viewing. Oscar, are there any questions before I move on to some quick points?
Just a question regarding how to enable live transcript.
Yes, I will go over that. I will go over the features if you want to do it in your own sessions. If you want to enable it right now, I believe, Oscar, you can help me out. I am sharing my screen right now. I believe there is a CC button on the top. Am I correct?
Correct.
So there should be a CC button on the top. Or if you do not see that, there may be a 3-dot icon with the word more. And when you click on it, you should be able to see show captioning. If you do not see it, we will explore that feature on how you enable it in just a moment during the session.
And so So one more question before you go, you continue, Pablo. Um, so Hamid is asking how we share Lumen question to Blackboard or Zoom account.
I'm not familiar with Looming specifically, so if you could remind me about that question, Oscar, and I will get to that in just a moment.
Okay.
Thank you. Some quick points that we wanted to bring up front. The Zoom website has a help desk with lots of resources, and the URL is right on your screen. And I will give you access to this slide so that you are able to access these resources as well. There's plenty of resources there in case you are looking for a specific feature to learn more about. IT also recommended that we share the following about cloud storage. A lot of faculty have asked about what is the capacity, the storage capacity for cloud recording. And IT has indicated that it's quite limited, and each user should limit their usage to 1 gigabyte. It's important to mention that this is cloud storage, which is different than local storage, local recording. And I will go over that in this video. The local recording, which is recommended over cloud storage, will allow you to generate files, and you can use Dropbox, which is a service provided by Cuny. And also IT indicated that we have 1 terabyte of space there. It will give you more flexibility in terms of sharing your files. And obviously, each user is responsible for that cloud storage, and IT recommends using local recording over cloud recording. IT has also put together an email address that you can write to with specific questions. We in the CTL receive many inquiries from faculty in regards to how to use Zoom, and we are always happy to help. But if there's a technical question, a technical issue with your account, that may be best addressed by IT. So the address is right there, zoomhelp@lagcc.cuny.edu. The first thing that I want to do is I'm going to show you the resource documents. But before we do that, just a quick reminder that CUNY employees, students, staff, faculty should access the CUNY Zoom accounts via the website cuny.zoom.us. You can download the client if you are able to download the client in your device. And you do it from the Zoom website, and the client will allow you to open the client as you would normally open Outlook, for instance, and you do not necessarily have to log in all the time. Once you log in one single time, it should direct you to your page all the time, and it's much more convenient. Remember that the login credentials for logging into your Zoom account is your first name, last name, and followed by 2-digit numbers at login.cuny.edu. I'm going to show you what this looks like in just a moment. But this is a regular common question that we get from faculty because a lot of users normally try to log in using their Outlook credentials. But in this case, you have to use your Cuny login credentials. So let me go ahead and now share what this will look like. First, I want to show you the resource document. This is the URL that I included in the slides, but I will go ahead and put this on the chat. Once again, if you're looking at the chat, you're able to go ahead and click on it. The Zoom resource document has a lot of different resources towards the bottom of the page. Let me just go here. And all the way at the bottom, all the way at the top, you should be able to see the session, the information for this current session. And this has a link for the slides that I am currently going over. So you have access to the slides and all the information that I will share with you. So once again, you can move along with me if you want, or you can simply pay attention as I go through these features on my screen. This is the cuny.zoom.us URL on the website. Make sure that you are using that portal, and then you simply click on sign in. And then in here, it will take you to this page, and this is where you enter your information. Once you enter your information, the CUNY login credentials, make sure that you're using that and not your Outlook credentials, and then you simply go ahead and click on log in. Okay. We're going to start with the breakout room, and give me just 1 second so that I can. Okay, so I will move on. In the page, one of the things that it's a common question among faculty is when they don't see the breakout room feature enabled by default on their accounts, it's normally because they may have to enable that feature on the settings of their account. So I want to go over this very quickly. If you log into the browser using your CUNY login credentials in the way that I did a moment ago, you simply log in and then you look for the settings on your panel on the left. And then the settings page will show you a number of different settings, but we're looking for one in particular. We're looking for the breakout group. So I'm just going to do a quick search, and then this is the option that I am looking for. In this case, this means that this option is on, it's enabled. In some cases, you may find that the option is off. I believe this is by default turned off. I'm not entirely sure, but I remember when I enabled my account, it was off. So a lot of times if faculty or users do not see the breakout room, it's not because their account is not working properly. It's simply because you would have to go to the settings and enable the option. Once you turn this on, the next time that you open and start a meeting with you as a host, you will be able to see the breakout room, and we will go over that in just a moment. Okay. Now, while we are on this page, there's a common question that we get from faculty as well in regards to breakout rooms, and that is, can I set up the breakout rooms in advance? The answer is yes. If you go to the browser and you go to your meetings tab where you have all of the meetings that you have scheduled, you can go ahead and click on the schedule a meeting. And I'm not going to go over these details right now, but if I scroll down at the bottom under meeting options, there is an option that says breakout room pre-assigned. I'm going to go ahead and check that off. And as you can see, once I do, I will have two options: create rooms and import from CSV. Okay, this button right here will allow you to create breakout rooms in advance. And then this option will allow you to pre-populate users that you want them to join a specific breakout room. Let's say that you have a class of 20 people and you want to create 4 breakout rooms and you want 5 specific students in each of them. If you know their user names, the first name, that last name, and the 2 digits, you can pre-populate that. Obviously, you would have to make sure that the user is joining your meeting with that account. So for instance, if I want to enroll my colleague Oscar into a room and I put his CUNY login credentials, his CUNY login user ID, but then he decides to join with his personal account, then that's not going to work. So there's a bit of a tricky work that you would have to do there. But this, however, is very helpful because this allows you to create the rooms in advance. I'm going to go ahead and click on it so that you can see what this looks like. And this user interface will allow you to create however many rooms that you want. If I want to put this group A and I want to create another room and I want to call this, let me just go ahead and click this. And I think it's group B. So you can create as many rooms as you want. And then when you join and start your meeting, you will be able to see those meetings, those rooms already created. The Cuny license allows users to have up to 300 people in one single meeting for unlimited time. So you have up to 300 people that you can have in one single meeting, and you have up to 49 breakout rooms that you can create. So 49 breakout rooms that you can create. If you want to create 51, maybe you might want to rethink your strategy, but you have plenty of leeway for you to create as many breakout rooms as you want, okay? So obviously, if you create your rooms and then you hit save, once you hit save, the breakout rooms will be created. And when you start this meeting at the time and date that you have scheduled it for, you will see the breakout room in your breakout room interface, which is what we're going to now move to. I'm going to go ahead and stop my sharing. And while I do this, I want to ask my colleague Oscar if there are any questions so far.
No questions.
Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my entire Zoom interface so that I can show you what this looks like, okay? So Oscar, I think you're able to see my entire Zoom interface, correct? Okay. So one of the things that I want to show everyone first is that you now obviously see my colleague Oscar because he's the one who's interacting at this point. On the top right, you will be able to see the different views for my panel. And this is always something that we have found helpful among faculty. It's always helpful to switch to gallery so that you can see a better distribution of everyone who is in your meeting. Right now, as I understand, you can have up to 49 users visible in one single window. Obviously, if you have a mid to large screen in front of you. Right now, I am working on a 13-inch MacBook Pro, and my real estate screen allows me to have only this many users in my screen. If there were to be more, then I would have a button right here to toggle to the next window, and I will be able to go back and forth in between pages. So as you can see, I see everyone right here. One of the key features that I can share quickly before I move to the breakout room, in the latest release, the second to last latest release of Zoom, we are now able to rearrange window thumbnails in your screen. So for instance, if I want to have myself right here, and let's say that you are you're going to have presentations, for instance, and I know that my colleague Oscar will go next. And let's say that I want my colleague Paulette to be next, and then my colleague Leah, who will go next. So you now have the ability to rearrange your video thumbnails if you, as the instructor, want to have a better distribution of your students. So that is a quick tip that I wanted to share. And this was released in the version of Zoom, which is 5.3. Right now, Zoom is in version 5.4. Now I'm going to show you the breakout room interface. Like I said, if you enable the breakout room feature in your settings, as I did at the beginning of this session, you will be able to see the breakout room as you see in my screen at the bottom. And here is the important stuff. The breakout room now allows you 3 options, and the third one is the one that people have been asking a lot about. The first one, assign automatically, it essentially means that I am telling Zoom how many rooms I want, and then Zoom will randomly assign all of my participants into those rooms. Okay, so if I have 20 students and I tell Zoom I only want 2 breakout rooms, if you do the math, there will be 10 people evenly distributed in each room. So that is how it works. You can always change the number of breakout rooms that you want. And as you can see, as I change the number right here, the number of participants per room will vary, right? The second option is assigned manually. And what that means is I'm going to tell Zoom I want 3 breakout rooms, but I don't want Zoom to put anybody in them because I want to assign people manually. If I want to do something very specific and I want to put Mary and John with Peter in one single group, then I can use that option to manually add them, okay? Obviously, the big caveat with this is that if you have a manageable size in your class, meaning if you have 10, 15, 20 students and you want to do that manually, it can work, although it will take you a minute or two. But obviously, if you have more students, then that's going to take more time. And finally, the newest option is let participants choose a room. And what this means is that you are creating as many rooms as you want, and you are giving the participants the option and the freedom to choose, I want to go to this breakout room or I want to go into that breakout room. So it is open to the participants, and the participant will be able to join a breakout room or return to the main room, as we will see in a moment. And it's important to note that for the third option to be fully functionable for everyone, all users in the call need to have version 5.3, the version 5.3 of Zoom, and I will show you how to run updates on your client is necessary for you to be able to see this option. If a user has a 5.0 or a previous version or a 5.2, the user will not be able to see this option. Okay, and we're going to go over that in just a moment. For the purposes of this activity, I'm going to choose the second option, okay? But really, the mechanics and the settings will be all applicable for the three options, okay? I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And one of the things that I want to point out here is that I hit create, and right now I see simply three rooms, room number 1, 2, and 3, because that is the default name. If I set up the room names in advance, as I did a moment ago when I hit breakout room pre-assign and I put group A, group B, group C, and so forth, when I click on the breakout room, I would be able to see those in here. But that was for a different meeting that I did, just as an example. It wasn't for this meeting. Okay, so I'm going to show you now some of the settings inside the breakout room. One thing that I want to point out at this time is that the breakout rooms are not open. Okay, it is not until I hit the open all rooms button when the rooms are opened and participants will be able to join. Okay, a couple of things self-explanatory. If you click on rename, you will be able to rename each of the groups as in any way that you want. Obviously, if you hit delete the room, it will simply delete the room. And right now, if you see assign, you have all of the users in this particular call, and I can manually assign these members to each group, okay? Obviously, as I mentioned a moment ago, if you have a manageable size of students in your class, you will be able to do this relatively quickly. I also want to point out, and I learned this the hard way, was that as of right now, Zoom only allows the host to open the breakout room and assign people into the breakout room. The co-host is not able to do that, okay? So right now, my colleague Oscar, for instance, he's the co-host. He has a range of different options available to him as opposed to being a participant, but he's not able to assign participants into a breakout room, only the host. And there's always one host who is in the call, okay? You can have multiple co-hosts, but there's always one single host. If I want to make my colleague Oscar the host of this meeting, I will lose my privileges and I will become into a participant. But obviously I don't want that. So that is an important distinction that people normally don't realize or count on. If I go to the bottom of my panel right here, I'm going to see the options. And as I mentioned a moment ago, these options and settings will be applicable to all of those three options that we saw at the beginning. Assign automatically, assign manually, and let participants join any Zoom room, okay? So the first one, obviously, if you want to allow participants to choose a room, you can enable that. If I want my participants to go into, let's say, group A or group B, I'm going to put it like this. Obviously, if you want them to do that, they will have the ability to join any room that they want. This can work probably best in an event where you have a number of students who are joining and they want to join any particular breakout room. In a class, you may want to assign them, obviously, right? For the second option, allow participants to return to the main session at any time. This right now is the main session. And the moment that we open up the breakout room, the breakout rooms will open, participants will join, and then the main session obviously will remain empty, right? Because everyone will be in a breakout room. If you want any student to return to the main session and perhaps ask you a question or do something, you may allow them to do that. But if you do not check this option, it means that the student will be sent to the breakout room and he or she will not be able to get out of the breakout room, okay? So depending on your needs, you may want to choose the best option that's best for you. Automatically move all assigned participants into a breakout room. And what this means is that if I open the breakout room, the participant will be, if I check this option, the participant does not have to do anything unless you're allowing them to choose a breakout room. But if you're assigning them, whether it's automatically or manually, the participant does not have to do anything and the participant will go directly into the breakout room. If you do not check this and you have assigned the people into the breakout room, then the participant will be prompted with a screen saying the host is inviting you to group number 1. Click OK to join. And if the participant does not do anything, then the participant will not join that breakout room. So depending on your activities, depending on your needs, you may want to check this on and off. Personally, when I teach and I have my students work in small groups, I always check this off because when I put them into the breakout rooms and I check this off, I open the breakout rooms and they are sent automatically into the breakout room and they do not have to click on anything. This is particularly helpful when you work with users who are not familiar with the interface, okay? The next option is the auto close breakout room after a certain time. And if you want to do this, if you are in a class and you only want students to have a 15-minute small group activity and you always struggle with the time, you can always enable this and then just put, let's say 20 minutes. And what's going to happen is you can also check this option, notify me when the time is up. And when the 20 minutes are up, I, as a host, will receive a pop-up window that says, Pablo, the time for your breakout group is up. Do you want to close the breakout rooms now, or do you want to keep them going? You have the option to close or keep them going. If you want them to have a few more minutes, you can say keep going, or if not, you can hit close and they will return to the main room. And finally, the last option is the countdown after closing the breakout room, okay? And what that means is after you hit the button close breakout room, the user who is in the breakout room will have a countdown before they are automatically sent back to the main room, okay? And I'm sure many of you have been probably in a breakout room where all of a sudden you're sent back to the main room and then you didn't finish saying what you were saying. If you do not check this off, the moment that you hit close breakout room, you're automatically teletransported to the main session. But if you want people to have a few more seconds, you can give them up to 120 seconds, and then they will essentially see a countdown that says the host is inviting you to the main room in 10, 9, 8, and so forth. And once the time is up, they are sent back to the main room, okay? For the purposes of this activity, I am going to demonstrate what this looks like, and I'm going to leave these options open right now. And I'm going to choose this. Yes, I'm going to choose all of this. And as you can see, if I go ahead and click on assign, I will go ahead and see a full list of all my participants right now. And if I simply check off their names, that means that I am assigning them into that group, okay? I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like when you want to swap participants in just a moment. But I'm just going to go ahead. No one is assigned to this breakout room, so I'm simply going to go ahead and hit open the rooms, okay? When I hit and open the rooms have opened, but you haven't seen anything that happened because no one is assigned. As you can see, all of you right now are unassigned because I wanted to show you what this will look like. This is now the main room, and I have participants that can join either group A or group B. If you, as the host, as the professor, as the teacher, want to join a specific breakout group, right in here, you can simply hit on the button join, and then you as the host will be able to join that particular group and then return to the main session at any time. And then I normally do that, and then I return to the main session and then go to the next group and so forth. And that gives me the ability to check in with my students on a regular basis, even when they are working on small groups. I also wanted to point out that this feature is particularly important, broadcast message to all. And I, as the host, even when I am on the main room, I am able to broadcast a message to all participants inside the breakout rooms. And I believe this gives you, it doesn't give you a countdown right now, but I believe it gives you up to 250 words, if I'm not mistaken, that you can distribute. It does not give you the flexibility of adding a document or adding an attachment or formatting your text. It simply allows you to send a quick message to students in the breakout room, and they will be able to see a pop-up window on the top of their screen. I normally use this to say things like, we have 5 more minutes. And when I send this, I normally broadcast, and then my message goes to all of my participants in those breakout groups. If during your session someone gets disconnected and they have to come back to the session, obviously you will see their names in your breakout room panel, as you can see my screen, and their names will pop up under unassigned. And all you would have to do as the host is simply, if let's say my colleague Nicole had a problem and she had to come back, so I simply will reassign her. Let's say that she was in group B, I can move her into group B as soon as she comes in, and then the same process will happen for her. So if I go ahead and hit close rooms, as you can see, I disabled the countdown, which is why I didn't see a countdown, because I just wanted everyone to come back right away. Nothing happened, if you saw, because none of you were in a breakout room, but I wanted to show you what the panel for you as an instructor will look like when you set up these breakout rooms. I want to show you now what the swap means, but I want to stop and see if my colleague Oscar has any questions.
So there's one question that May is asking, having issues with her day job and her other job using one Zoom account. So I'm just telling her to know that it may be a one-on-one session with her.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. If I go into the second option, which was, I'm sorry, the first option, which was assign automatically, if you recall, this was me telling Zoom, I want this many breakout rooms, you Zoom figure out who's going to be in each room. So I did just that, and then Zoom does something behind the scenes, and then gives me the 3 rooms that I want, and pre-populates my colleagues and my participants into each of those evenly. So in this case, I see that my 3 rooms are populated, and I wanted to show you the additional 2 buttons that we will see. In this case, in my room number 1, I have all of these colleagues, and if I want to, let's say, move my colleague Candace from room number 1, I can always move them very easily to room number 3 and so forth. If I want to swap or exchange someone, let's say that I want my colleague to not be in room number 1, and I want to exchange my colleague Leah for Elizabeth, it will simply swap and put Leah on the other room, and then Elizabeth now on room number 1. So you can always do these changes and adjustments before you open all the breakout rooms. And obviously the moment that you open the breakout rooms, all the participants will be able to join. It's important to note that doing all of this takes a moment or two. So if you are the one teaching in your class and you're doing this for your class and you want to set this up, my best recommendation would be to use the assigned automatically, and then you are able to swap people depending on how many people you have in your class. But obviously this varies by discipline, by class, and you know your needs best, and they may not be the same needs for everyone. And then, like I said a moment ago, the settings also are the same for all 3 options, okay? So if you allow participants to allow to choose any breakout room that they want or join automatically, all those settings, you set them up and they will always be the same settings for your breakout rooms, okay? One last thing about breakout rooms, and then I will move on, is if you set up your breakout rooms, let's say at the beginning of your session, and then suddenly you close them, but then you want to return to the same groups, Zoom will always remember that. All right. So if you hit the first option, assigned automatically, and Zoom gave me this list, and I'm okay with this list, I will open the rooms. I will have my students do their activities, and then I will close it. If I want to reopen that at a later point in the same session, Zoom will continue to give me the same list, okay? Unless I purposely change it and assign manually, or I change this, okay, the names of the participants. But you will not be able to save, let's say, these 3 groups for the remainder of the semester. You would have to make sure that you manually add them. That is a drawback that's important for professors to know, especially if you're working on small groups on a consistent basis and you want to have the same groups all the time. So that's a caveat that you would have to consider, okay? Any questions at this time, Oscar?
No questions. Nope, so one question. So can I create breakout rooms a few days before a class?
The answer is yes, and you would have to go into your class on the browser. I normally use the browser for this, but you can use the client as well. For instance, this is my class for Saturday, and I don't have any breakout rooms. But if I go in here, I will be able to see the information, and I can go ahead and edit this particular. It will ask me if I want to edit this particular session or all of them. If I want to edit only this one, because this is a recurrent session, I can always go into the option and hit breakout room pre-assigned. It does not allow me to. Maybe it's because this is a recurrent. Let me check on another one. When you schedule the session, you are able to, sorry. When you schedule a session, you are able to assign to label breakout rooms in advance. Yeah, right here too. So it doesn't seem to be working when you have a recurring meeting, but when you have a single standalone meeting, you can always go back to the edit settings of that meeting, and then simply check off the option breakout room pre-assigned if you didn't at the beginning. And you can either import the list of participants, or you can simply create a breakout room. And then once you do that, if you go back, once you open that meeting and you open the breakout room, it will pre-populate those rooms that you initially set up on the meeting itself. So the answer is yes, you can. Okay, so any other questions?
The other question is pertaining to updating the client to the latest version.
Yeah, and I can show this very quickly before I move on to recording. So this is the client. And again, if you look at the resource document that I shared at the beginning of the session, the link is right there on the chat. You will be able to see one item about downloading the client. I am using a Mac right now, but if you're using a Windows computer, the option should be about the same. Once you download the client and you'll log into your account using your Cuny login credentials, you can click on your picture on the top right. You should be able to see your full email address, because that is the account that you're signed on to. And then you simply click on the option check for updates. And if you look on check for updates, you will be prompted to download. As you can see, I have a new version available on 5.4. 1, and the version that I have right now is 5.40, and there's a slightly new update that Zoom has made available. If you click on update, it will run the update for you, and then sometimes you may have to restart the client. In some cases you may not, depending on the update, but that's essentially how you do. You go into the client, you go into your picture on the top right, and then look for the option check for updates. If you are downloading the client for the first time, 99% of the time, Zoom will give you the latest update that you're downloading if you're downloading it for the first time. Okay. So the next thing that I'm going to do will be the recording. And Oscar, you're still seeing my full screen, am I right?
That's correct.
Okay, so as you can see, I'm showing you my full Zoom screen for the purposes of this training so that I can show you what the recording looks like. The recording button will be at the bottom of your screen. Okay, right now, you will be able to see a record button as you see in any other device. Right now it says pause, stop, or recording. I'm sorry, pause or stop recording. And that is because I am currently recording my, my session. And I am doing, when you hit on the recording button, there will be two options: record to the cloud and record to this computer. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, it's recommended to record to your local computer. Why? Because that will allow you to generate a file that you can then share via Dropbox, and that's exactly what I am going to share right now. I want to go back quickly to my client because I want to show you some settings. Once you hit in your own class, once you have your own meeting and you hit the record button, you hit the button record and then you click record to this computer. What's going to happen is you're going to see the recording, as you can see on the left, the top left. And then once your session ends, the recording will process. And what that essentially means is that Zoom is preparing your video file for you to be able to share that. Depending on the session, if you had a 10-minute, 15-minute session with your students, or a 3-hour session with your students, it will take a little some time, but you will always see the bar that goes from left to right. And then if you did not purposely change the default folder on your computer, on your device, you can always go back to your client and look for the settings option. And again, I am working on a Mac, but the options on a Mac and a Windows are about fairly the same. And this settings panel will be similar, and you're looking for the button recording. And if you look for the button recording, that is where Zoom will give you the location of your folder. Zoom by default will place a Zoom folder inside your documents folder in your machine. Okay, so as you can see, this is the case in my particular case. And if I hit open, it will essentially open my my folder where all of my recordings are. And Oscar, you're able to see my Finder right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so these are as many Zoom sessions as I've had since a long time ago. So they will be populated by date with the latest one at the very bottom. And I want to show you what this will look like. This is a session that I recorded with the specific live captioning that was available when it became available from Cuny. Every time that you hit record, Zoom will give you a video file, which is the video of the recording of your actual meeting. It will give you an audio file as well, as you can see right here. And then in my case, I wanted to save the closed captioned transcription, and you can also have that available as a text file. Okay. Also, if you have any chat that was saved, it will also be saved on that same folder, okay? So it's important for you to know that inside that folder for that particular meeting, Zoom will give you all of those different files. So obviously, if you want to share this recording with your students, then the video file will be the one that you're going to be looking for, right? Although you can use the other ones as well. Now, the question is, how do you share that? And for that, I am going to introduce Cuny Dropbox. And you're able to see my browser with the Cuny Dropbox page, right, Oscar?
Yes.
Okay, so the Cuny Dropbox, and I'm going to put this link up on the chat as well so that you are all able to see this. The Cuny Dropbox is a service that's provided to all Cuny employees, faculty and staff, and students. You also log in with your Cuny login credentials. That is your first name and last name and the 2 digits of your Cuny Employee ID. And you have to enter your Cuny First password, okay? A lot of users get confused and they think that their Outlook credentials will work, but these are the login credentials, the same that you used for Zoom, okay? And once you click on login, you may see this if you're logging in for the first time. So I'm just going to hit remember me because that's the only Cuny account that I am using, the only Dropbox account that I am using. And you will see a number of different things based on the files that you have. In my case, I have been using this for quite some time already. But in here, you essentially can create a folder. And when you create a folder, remember that you have 1 terabyte of storage, which is plenty of storage if you want to share video files. So all you can do is simply create a new folder for my course videos. I'm just going to call this course videos. You can put this, the specific course if you're doing this for multiple courses. Let's say I put ENG 101. I'm just going to leave this as only you, meaning only me for now, because I'm going to show you how you can share this. And then go ahead and click on create. And then once I am done with this, all I am going to do is I am going to simply drag and drop my video into my Dropbox account. As you can see, you can either upload a file if you click on this button, or if you're comfortable dragging and dropping, this will work on a Mac or on a Windows, and you will be able to upload your video in there. This will vary by the capacity of the video, okay? By the length of the video, I should say. If you have recorded a 3-hour lecture with your students, it will obviously take a little longer. If you're uploading a video that was only 10-15 minutes long, it will take relatively shorter time. So I think this was like about 20-something minute session. So it will take some time, but regardless of that, you obviously will be able to see the file loading here once it's done. But regardless of that, I want to show you how you share this folder, and you do this once, okay? Once again, I've accessed my Dropbox account from Cuny with my Cuny login credentials. I've created a single folder for my for my videos, for storing my videos. And now I want to share access to that one folder so that my students are able to see that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on share folder. And once I do that, I'm going to have a couple of options, okay? I can share this folder with the specific people, right? But in my case, I just want to generate a single link that anybody that I give this link to will be able to access it with. Obviously, if you choose to share this with the specific individuals, you would have to enter their names one at a time. So if that is your option and you want to share this only with the 27 students that are enrolled in your class, then you can do this, although you will have to enter their login information, their username one at a time. I'm just going to go ahead and click on create a link, and I'm going to go ahead and click on link settings, because these are the settings that I want to look into for just a moment. And just a quick reminder, let me do a quick parenthesis here. This is being recorded, and you will be able to return to this segment of the video at a later point if you want to. Who has access to this? I want everyone with the link. Although, check this out, you can also enable this with a password, okay? The options are endless in this page. So I just want to make this easy, and I want to make anyone with the link to be able to access. You can also set an expiration date. Let's say that if I want to share this only until the end of the semester, and I can change this, and I want my students to be able to access this only until December 12th. So if that is your option, you can also enable that. If I am sharing videos or any kind of document, you can also disable downloads. And what this means is that the student will be able to view the content, but if they want to save that file to their desktop or to their Dropbox account, if you give them the option to, by default, they can do that. But if not, you can restrict download. So they will be able to view the content only, but they will not be able to do anything else on it. Okay, so you have all of these options. Let's say that I want to enable this, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on save link. Okay, Now I want to copy the link because this will be one single link that I want to give to my students. I have a Blackboard course page here as an example. And all I'm going to do, and this probably may look like something what you have on your own course, I'm going to go ahead and click on the edit mode of my Blackboard course. I'm going to go ahead and click on a web link because I want to link this to an external website. So I'm going to go ahead and click on web link, and I'm going to call this course or class recordings because I want to make this as easily recognizable to my students. And in the URL, I'm simply going to go ahead and post the link to the Dropbox folder. Once I hit on available to users, I will simply go ahead and click on submit, and I'm going to move this to the top. And essentially what this means is that I am now giving my students the entry access to the single folder where I will be posting all of my videos. If I go back to my folder panel right here, you will be able to see now my video loaded. So every time that I have a new video, all I have to do is simply move my video into the folder. Do I have to worry about giving my students access every single week when I upload a video? The answer is no, because you already gave them access to the whole folder. So every time that they click on it, they will be able to see all of the content that you're uploading on a regular basis. I wanted to show you a couple of things. One thing actually, once the video loaded, and if I hover over this option right here, I can always go into the rename option, because every time that you generate a local recording on Zoom, Zoom by default will give you a standard name, which is Zoom _0, and it will be an MP4. That means that that is the extension of the video file. But let's say that you put class recording October 28th, right? You can label it like this, and you will be able to let your students see when that recording was made. And obviously, once you continue to upload more files, they will be able to see and access those documents. The renaming portion can also be done in your Finder. If you are on a Windows or on a Mac, you can right-click and rename the file. But in this case, I chose to do that in the Dropbox. Either way, it does not matter as long as you rename the document. Okay.
Quick question, Pablo.
Go ahead.
So when you upload the MP4 file, does it have the captioning, and the chat included in the video?
That's a good question. For the captioning, if you enable the live transcription on the video itself, you will be able to, you should be able to see it. And let me play. Let's see if it plays here. Let's see if it plays. I don't think I saved it here. You can put the captioning. You can put the captioning separately if you want. If you enable the live transcription, you should be able to see it on the video. In this video, I don't think, I just grabbed a random file. I don't think I had enabled it for this. But if you record the session and you have enabled the live transcription, you should be able to see it. I also wanted to point out that the closed captioning, you should be able to see it as a separate file. So if you go into the Zoom folder where you have the video, where you have the audio, and in some cases, if you save the chat, you will also see the chat. You should also see the closed captioned text, and you can upload that as well. Okay. Any other questions?
No more questions.
Okay, so it is 12:59. I will still go over the live transcription so that I can show it to everyone in this session. If you're able to stay, that is great. Remember that if you're not able to stay, this session is being recorded and will be shared with everyone after today's session. So Oscar, you're able to see my Zoom environment right now, correct?
Yes, you're on the dash on the window.
So in here, as you can see, you as the host will be able to see your CC options right here. And if you click on it, traditionally Zoom before would give you these options only. assign a participant to type, or you yourself could type, or work with a third-party platform. Obviously, we didn't have access, we didn't use any of those options before, but now we have the live transcript and you can enable it. Right now it says disable it because I have it enabled already. And once you do that, you also have on the arrow that points up a couple of options. And one of the one that it's really helpful is the view full transcript. And if you click on it, you will be able to see the full transcript on a side. And what is helpful about this is that it not only transcribes what the person is saying, but it's also indicating who is speaking. At this point right now, you see that it is me who is speaking, and you can see that it is transcribing as I speak. If my colleague Oscar interjects, then his name will appear along with everything that he's saying. As you can see right here, I'm going to close this for just a moment. As you can see right here, I'm not able to see my name per se. So Zoom is simply transcribing everything that is being said at that time, regardless of who is saying it. A couple of options that I want to point out here. One of the most helpful is that you can move this around. You may see a blue line around my text. I can move it around in my screen if this is impeding me from seeing something on the screen, which is really helpful. Also, in the event that you have the live captioning, but it's very small, you can always go into the subtitle settings, and that will allow you to change the settings, including the font. Right now, I have it on the biggest and the large size, but I can decrease it if I want to, and I can make that fairly smaller if that is my option. Based on our tests so far, it seems that each user has to enable that. So I am enabling that right now for my own view, but if you want, you can set a different font size for your own particular needs, okay? So again, if you're able to see the CC button, you will be able to see and enable this live transcription. I want to show you one important thing that a colleague pointed out. And for that, I want to take you to the browser. And Oscar, you should be able to see my Zoom website right now with the settings, correct?
Correct.
So I want to take you back to the website. This is where I took you at the very beginning, where we enable the breakout room feature. This is on the settings panel. And again, there's plenty of options that I invite you to investigate and look into in your own time. But the one that we're looking at right now, I'm just going to do a Command F right now, and I'm going to look for the live captioning. This one right here. This option for closed captioning, make sure that this option right here is enabled in your account. A colleague was struggling because she couldn't find it, but then another colleague recommended make sure that you check your settings and make sure that the enable live transcription service is on, it's checked on. So make sure that you have this checked off, and then once you do, then when you go into your Zoom interface, you will be able to see the option enable live transcription. And this is a service, once again, that I'm going to stop sharing so that you may be able to see it best if you need to. This is a service that Cuny released just a couple of days ago, and we wanted to make sure that we share this with everyone in this training. One thing that I wanted to point out, and we also did a little bit more testing on this, is that the live captioning does not seem to be working during breakout rooms right now. So if you want to enable that for a breakout room, don't be surprised if that does not work. It's not a bug. It is my understanding, based on my contacts with other Cuny colleagues, that Cuny has that on their plans for the near future. But right now, the live captioning may not work during breakout rooms. It will work on a regular meeting space, main spaces, which is where we are at this point. But if you want to enable that for a breakout room, you probably will find a challenge. So that is something to make everyone aware of. And lastly, I want to share, give me 1 second. Oscar, are there any other questions?
So there's a question regarding closed captioning.
Yes.
So prior to Cuny activating the closed captioning, can faculty go back to the previous videos and upload a transcript? So my understanding is no, because you would have to generate the transcript for that.
That is correct. So every time that, let me just open this quickly. Okay, I'm gonna put this. So my understanding is that that option will not work retroactively, because every time that you record a Zoom session, if you before didn't enable the live captioning, and now you want to go back to a session in early September and you want to add the captioning, you will not be able to do that because Zoom already generated a video file that is static and cannot be edited. So I can do a little bit more of research on that. I can check in with a colleague on IT, but I think my answer is no at this time.
Yeah, the other thing is like there is no live transcript on Blackboard Collaborate. Is that correct?
Oh, that is a good question. To be honest, I am not very familiar with Collaborate. Oscar, you have used it more than I have. Do you know if there is?
I didn't use it this semester, but previous
Okay.
semesters there was no live captioning
Okay.
for it.
Okay.
Another question, can I embed a Zoom MP4 anywhere in Blackboard? Also, do I have to create a Zoom session to record, or can the recorder be used standalone?
Can you repeat the first question?
So the first part of the question is, can I embed a Zoom MP4 anywhere in Blackboard?
Yes, you are able to do that. Yes, you can. It is not recommended because depending on the size of your video, you will be able to upload the video itself as any other video file. However, be aware that it may take up your storage capacity. And back in March, this was a big issue for a lot of faculty who were trying to upload their videos into their Blackboard courses so that students are able to click on it and watch the video content. But when the videos are long, it means that the videos are taking more storage capacity in your Blackboard course, and faculty found themselves in the middle of the semester running out of space in their Blackboard course. So that is why we recommend, IT is recommending the use of Dropbox, since it gives you more flexibility for uploading videos in there without having to take up your storage capacity in your Blackboard course. But technically you are able to.
So the follow-up to that question is, do I have to create a Zoom session to record, or can the recorder be used standalone?
The recording, if you start a meeting, let's say a quick meeting with your personal meeting room without having scheduled anything for Saturday at 1 p.m., you can start a meeting, a quick meeting on Zoom, and you can enable the recording if you want. I want to share from this morning. I came across this interesting resource. I'm going to get to more questions in a moment, Oscar, but I wanted to share this this resource that I came across this morning from colleagues in the Graduate Center. They put together this quick sheet with tips for a smooth and safe communication in Zoom classes. I put the link on the chat. They asked for it to be shared widely, so please take advantage of it. And I think it has very interesting tips, especially for interacting and keeping active communication with your students. So I'm leaving this on the chat. It's a public link, so please make sure that you share that widely. And I didn't put this on the resource document because I came across this shortly before the session, but I will upload it for later today. Okay. Okay, so I think that concludes our session. Once again, I want to go back to Oscar and see if there are any additional questions that we may go over.
So there was one question about how can I delete some part of a recording in a video.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
And can I download any recordings from Zoom Cloud Recordings and then use that to upload to Dropbox?
Oh, that's a good question. And let me see in my recordings if I have any. Yes, yes, the answer is yes, and thank you for bringing that up. So I will go and take you to my browser. If I, oops, sorry. You should be able to see my browser, right, Oscar?
Correct.
So if I navigate to my Zoom account on the browser and I hit on recordings, I will see the cloud recordings and the local recordings, all of the ones that I have generated. And on the cloud recording, I found one. And as you can see, it's 3 files. And I can go ahead and download the files. And if I download the files will essentially be the same as the files that I showed you in the example before. So the answer is yes, you can download these files and you can upload them to Dropbox later. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm also seeing some questions about the Screencast-O-Matic, and that is a very helpful tool that I know many have used. If you want to record your screen, and it's mostly used for instructional training. If you want to record yourself and you doing some things on the web, I think the free account allows you to do recordings of up to 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. But you can try that if you want to generate more instructional resources for your students. Essentially, it's a recording that then allows you to edit your video and then crop certain aspects of your video out, and then just highlight your cursor so that your students know where you're clicking. It's a very intuitive software that allows you to do that. If you want to do a simple recording of yourself, and you going over, let's say, your PowerPoint slides, using the Zoom account, it's very easy because all you have to do is open up a meeting using your personal meeting ID. You open up the meeting, which will be the same space where we are right now. You record yourself sharing your screen, and then you will be able to share, and then you will be able to get the video file after that. That is very useful, especially if you want to simply record yourself going over a PowerPoint slide, or you giving simple directions or a lecture to your students. And you can then have the recording, and you do not have a time limit, which is one of the biggest benefits, especially for faculty who were using free software before the use of the Cuny Zoom license.
Do you have recommendations for video editing?
For video editing, there's I have many. I don't have one in particular for. I would say iMovie in a Mac. It's a very basic / intermediate software that is very intuitive. You can edit your videos in there. You have other kind of software that like Premiere with Adobe, but you would need a license. One software that a lot of people have been talking about, which is open source, is OBS, which is mostly used for broadcasters who do video games, but the system, it's intuitive enough for you to generate videos of yourself and you doing something on the screen, and it's free. You do not have to purchase anything. iMovie, it's a free software that comes on a Mac. I believe the Windows Movie Maker, which may be Windows Live Movies, now called in Windows, I believe that it's a default software on a Windows computer, but I'm not entirely sure. But if you have specific questions, please send me an email so that we can get in touch, and I'll be happy to help you as well.
Yeah, like Candace is asking specifically for a Chromebook.
Correct, yes. Let me see, we went over all of this. So in the final recommendations, reaching out to me, and if you have a specific question about how you may use this, or if you want to hear additional input, please send me an email. And here are some final recommendations we wanted to end in the session with, and just using your Zoom account in general, and using the different features available so that you can have a smooth class, with your students. Any final questions?
I don't see any other questions.
And my email is right on the screen. You can always reach out to me if you want, and I will be more than happy to go over any content with you. So I will then end our session. Let me just go back right here. Thank you. So thank you very much for your attendance. Once again, the session is recorded now and will be shared with everyone, hopefully by tonight or tomorrow. It will be posted on YouTube so that you can go back and revisit this entire session if you need to, or specific segments of the session. Okay. Additional trainings will probably be offered. We're working at the center to make sure that we are providing as much support as possible to all faculty. And for additional sessions, please look out for an email from me. But you can always reach out to me if you have specific questions about this, okay? Thank you once again to everyone, and thank you, Oscar, for moderating the chat. And I hope everyone has a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.